know today, I would have loved to kind of announce you on a more joyous occasion.
Of course.
But of course, today is the martyrdom of Sayeda Khadija alayhi salam.
Salamullah.
I'm not going to ask you, what you know of Sayeda Khadija. We know that obviously she's a very, very important figure within Islam. But inshallah, with your permission and the permission of the viewers, we will welcome today's show. So, before Islam, Khadija alayhi salam was the princess of Mecca. When the sun of Islam rose above the horizon, Allah was pleased to make her the princess of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was also pleased to make her the mother of the believers. As he says in his book, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the Prophet is closer to the believers than their own selves, and his wives are their mothers, in chapter 33, verse 6.
There have been many women in the history of the world who have become great and famous because of their great deeds. But in the entire history of the world, there are only 4 women who could measure up to the high standards of true greatness and perfection set by Islam. They measured up to these standards due to their great services towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Now the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam identified them as Asiya, the wife of Pharaoh, Maryam, the mother of Jesus alayhi salam, Khadija, the Prophet's wife, and Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, the Prophet's daughter. The Prophet found only 4 perfect women in the entire human race. Out of these 4, the last 2 belong to the same house. They are Khadija alayhi salam, the mother, and Fatima Zahra, her daughter.
Khadija was the image of the perfect soul. Khadija combined in her person all those attributes which add up to the perfection. If she had faced or lacked any of those attributes, her husband would not have classified her as a perfect wife.
As a perfect wife and a perfect woman as well. So on that case, we are very honored, I guess, to be joined by a man who has done extensive research on the life of Sayyidah Khadija alayhi salam. Mullah Ahmed Sadiq, who has dedicated a huge amount of time to learn about this amazing lady, and he currently joins us on the line. Mullah, firstly, assalamu alaikum. I hope that you can hear me.
How are you? Everything's fine, inshallah.
I'm well, but I received some upsetting news, Mullah, that you're not well. Can you first update us on your health and your condition?
أولاً سيدنا العزيز أهلاً وسهلاً. Secondly, the problem is it's the first time on my life I fainted in the Husseiniya, so I'm going to the hospital.
Oh wow.
I am very sorry because I don't have a good place to be in.
Yeah. You were not well a few weeks ago as well. I know that I saw some on your social media. You were in hospital. Is this related to the same thing?
Yeah, the same thing. I think because of the month of Sha'ban, I traveled to 8 countries.
Oh wow.
Don't make me do that again. Okay?
I mean, you went to Africa, didn't you? Do you think maybe it's related to your Africa programs?
Before I arrived Africa, I had a problem in my chest.
Okay.
It's not, alhamdulillah.
ماكو غير العافية إن شاء الله. Mullah Al-Aziz. Our topic today, and as you know, we are speaking about Lady Khadija alayhi salam. I wanted to ask you first and foremost, can you give me a quick introduction into who Lady Khadija actually was?
We are talking about the woman who is responsible of the rise of Islam, the rise of the religion of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The first and only wife when she was alive. He didn't, salawatullahi alayhi, had another wife when Khadija was there. So we are talking about that woman.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. And in terms of her notable achievements, Sayyid Yunus?
In terms of her notable achievements, what and how did she contribute to Islam, Mullah, do you think?
ملا علي ساعدني في الترجمة. مساهمة في الإسلام مو؟
Yeah,
مساهمة نعم.
السؤال يعني her achievements in Arabic. How would I say that in Arabic?
مساهمتها في نشر الديانة الإسلامية.
Okay. تدري ملا she were wealthy, but how much did she have? I don't remember exactly if it's 800 or 80,000, okay? let's say 80, she had an 80 camels, but not any camels. I will put it in our lives. Let's say she had, you know the G class?
Yeah.
So imagine 800 G class
Okay.
full of gold, full of jewelry, full of
MashaAllah.
silvers, and she was responsible to spread the Islam with giving that money to Yatim Abi Talib, the orphan of Abi Talib, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Yeah.
Salam Allah alayhi.
So
By the way,
Mullah, what? Yeah. Sorry.
no, say, قول يا علي.
I was gonna say, what was her actual business ventures? What did she do that was so successful?
She trades, don't go there. Sorry. She trades, Mullah. She had the G classes at that time,
Okay.
and she sells to the Sham. So there is like a tribe. مو tribe. شنو يعني قافلة ملا؟
What's the word?
قافلة.
Qafila. She had a caravan.
Caravan, yep.
Oh, thank you so much. A caravan that goes and come back to Sham and to Mecca. She sells the stuff. She had money, gold, jewelry, everything. So she worked with our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she narrated that once the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was there with the caravan, the revenue is different. Don't double it, don't triple it. Once Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes to the caravan, to any trip of trading trip, she is like having a good revenue, a great revenue, excellent revenue. That's how did she had money, salamullah alayhi.
MashaAllah.
Salam Allah
MashaAllah.
alayhi. Mullah, how did she support the Prophet emotionally and physically, Sayyidah Khadija salam Allah alayha?
Sallallahu alayha. Wallah al-azim. By the way, Mullah, our Prophet didn't have a house. He was an orphan.
Okay.
So once she got married to our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, she gave him literally everything and told him, my house is your house, and I am your servant, the lady of Quraysh. It's impossible at that time for a woman to lead Mullah. Yani, now we can't imagine that because we have leaders, women leaders, female leaders. At that time in Mecca, no woman can lead, not even one, but she led.
Yeah.
She was the lady of Quraysh. And she went to our Prophet. She said, I am your servant. And once our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to the da'wah and صار البعثة,
Yeah.
and he became the messenger of God, and he said like La ilaha illallah, and he had problems and Quraysh and everything. There is one specific scene. Mullah, everyone in Quraysh wanted to kill our Prophet. This hadith is narrated in Bihar al-Anwar, al-Allam al-Majlisi, salamullah, Ridwanullah ta'ala alayh. So they stood in front of the house with swords. They were ready to kill our Prophet, to finish, to get rid of the problem of the Tawheed. She stood in front of the house, and then they can't enter because it is Khadija. And you know, everyone in Quraysh, they are related. So she related to them. She was related to them. They asked her, move, we want to enter the house and we can't go until you go. She said, I won't. Then they took rocks. They throw rocks at Sayeda Khadija. She stood up with Ali ibn Abi Talib. He was 10 years old. She was hit by rocks. Bloods are shredding everywhere. Like her granddaughter,
I was just
Sayyida
about to
Zainab
say.
salam Allah.
Yeah.
Sayyida Zainab took that from
Sayyidah
Khadija.
Khadija.
Salaamullah alayhi.
Khadija defended our Prophet. Sayyida Zainab defended Imam Zain al-Abidin salam Allah alayhi. The same way. She didn't only give her money, her trade, her house. By the way, the house she gave to our Prophet is the house where Jibreel came,
Subhanallah.
where Sayyida Zahra was born. Salam alayhi. It's the same house where the the prophecy of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam started. So are you asking what did she give? Everything.
Mullah, I
How
was going
did
to
she
ask.
support him?
Look, what you're saying is absolutely fantastic, but I want to know what was, because a woman, as you mentioned, look, a woman doing all of this is never been seen before, and that's why it's so special, right? What was her support system before she met the Prophet? Because a woman alone couldn't have done this, right? She must have had, say,
Exactly.
brothers, a father, uncles, cousins. What was her support system that allowed her to become as successful as she did?
Salamullah. Firstly, she had a good, wealthy family.
Okay.
And شنو الورث ملا ان هي حصلت ارث طويل.
Inheritance.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Secondly, thirdly, the mindset of Sayyida Khadija. You know, some people maybe they inherit, sorry, they inherit a huge amount of money. They don't know how to deal with it. Sayyida Khadija was the most maybe genius person ever. She knew how to manage. She knew who to send, who to hire, when, where, how, who is her servant.
Yeah.
Sorry, huh? So she know how to deal with things, how to lead. Mullah. The personality of Sayyida Khadija, she was something else. Seriously, she was something else. Salam alayha.
So, in terms of the lessons, Sayyid,
I mean, in
Yunus.
terms of the lessons that can be learned from Sayeda Khadija, Salaamullah alayha, in particular gender roles, how could we understand the gender roles of the time, or today actually, from Sayeda Khadija, Salaamullah alayha?
The one thing that all the women who are listening should know, they have to learn about the Sayyidah Khadija. Once they are connected to Sayyidah Khadija, everything will be, they will see the life in a different way. Yani, she was the most perfect wife ever. For example, once, you know, they talked about Sayyidah Khadija. Why did you marry the poor orphan? Every woman in Mecca, they neglected Sayyidah Khadija. كانوا لا يردون السلام ولا. Sayyidina, anyone who says Assalamu alaikum, when Sayyidah Khadija says Assalamu alaikum, no one answers. No one talked to her. And she didn't care. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was angry because what happened. So she asked her, are you okay, Khadija? do you need anything? She answered, the only thing I need is to see your face. Mullah, if we read about Sayeda Khadija, lessons are everywhere. She was under huge pressure. Don't tell me that a woman had a pressure like Sayeda. No, she had. Her husband was the one who are talking about the fake gods, the Asnam. They hated him. They hated her. She lost her money. And she led her house. By the way, if you want to know how to take lessons from the life of Sayyidah Khadija, Mullah, she raised Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi alayhi.
Oh, wow.
She raised Ali ibn Abi Talib. No one raised Ali ibn Abi Talib, only two. Muhammad wa Khadija.
No.
Abu Talib, even after Sayyidah Fatima bint Asad. آسف.
الله يساعدك ملا.
والله اعذرني انا صدري شويه تعبان. Our Prophet took Ali ibn Abi Talib from the house of Abu Talib. And Khadija was his wife. She was responsible of cleaning the clothes of Ali ibn Abi.
Yeah.
She raised Ali ibn Abi Talib.
Mullah, I'm very conscious of your health, so I'm going to ask you one last question, just in terms of the death of Sayyidah Khadija. What impact did it have on the Prophet himself?
After Sayyidah Khadija left, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, our Prophet mentioned her in every opportunity he had, till the last of his days. You know, after Fath Makkah,
Yeah.
I think it was on the 7th of Al-Hijrah. So our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa went to the Hijrah from Mecca, and Khadija was buried in Mecca. He went to Al-Madinah. Then he had wars, Khaybar, Khandaq, كذا إلى آخر, extra. Then he came back in Fath Makkah. After he was like the ruler of Islam, and Islam became. So once he entered Mecca, he didn't went to his house. He didn't went to Kaaba. He didn't enter the middle of Kaaba. The middle of, Mecca. He asked for a tent to be built next to the grave of his Sayyidah Khadija. He cried for 3 days. We are talking about Fath Makkah. We are not talking about like a day or two or a year or 2 or 3 or 4 years after the martyrdom of Sayyidah Khadija. So if we ask how was the impact, everywhere our Prophet goes, he say, وَمَنْ مِثْلُ خَدِيجَةٍ آمَنَتْ بِي حِينَ كَفَرَتْ بِي النَّاسِ. She believed me when everyone neglected me. صدقتني حين كذبتني الناس. She believed me when everyone said that I am a liar. And if you know this narration, it's like it's everywhere. آمنت بي ومن مثل خديجة. He said that narration and every opportunity he had. The same comment after the hadith. And then he cries. Whenever he mentioned Khadija, he never forget Khadija. He never. And I have so many things to say, but it's going to take too long. So, and I'm going to talk only about one role. We think that the role of Sayyidah Khadija has finished. Please listen carefully to this, Mullah, please. Deeply from your heart. You and Sayyid, my love. When the time comes العلامة المجلسي, he narrated this. When the times come and our Imam صاحب العصر والزمان appear, he will go to Mecca. And you know Raj'ah, we have Raj'ah. The time of the believers get out of their graves and they... So Sayeda Fatima bint Asad will return, the mother of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And Khadija bint Khuwaylid, the mother of Zahra salam. They will return. They will walk towards Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman al-Imam al-Mahdi. As-Sayyida Khadija will carry something. She will give that thing to our master, Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. And it's gonna be the Muhsin ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. Khadija is the grandmother of Muhsin. And she will ask her son Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman to take revenge of al-Muhsin salawatullah. Role of Khadija still, you know, I hope that we can see that scene inshallah, near inshallah.
Inshallah, ya Rab.
Khadija, wallah, I have too many things to say about Khadija.
I know, well, I can tell your dedication and your passion towards Sayyidah Khadija, and I only ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the same passion that you have for her, and inshallah we can implement her lessons into our lives today. Mullah, I'm going to leave you to your health, inshallah. I wish you all the best. وبجاه Sayyidah Khadija, inshallah, you are back up to full recovery, because myself and Sayyid Yunus, we love you both. We love you, and we hate to see you in this kind of health. So inshallah we'll see you up and running and ready for the Layal al-Qadr, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Mullah. It was an honor. I'm very sorry, wallah, my health is not
problem.
good, and maybe I am not answering properly. Sorry.
No, they're absolutely fine. Thank you for your time, Mullah Ahmed Siddiq.
Thank you, Mullah.
So before we go on to the next kind of segment, and you mentioned something off air as well. You said Sayyidah Khadija's madluma.
Yes.
Why do you think that, based on what he was saying as well?
I mean, in terms of the wide aspects of the Islamic world,
Yeah.
a lot of credit is given to, let's, for example, say other women of believers,
Yep.
or other women of believers.
Yeah.
When, let's say, the original or the first
Yeah.
isn't given much attention throughout Islam, number one, and number two, specifically within Tashayyu', within our sect of Islam, we don't give enough credit to her.
Yeah.
You know, the Imams in all of their ziyarat, they specifically say, Ibn Khadija al-Gharra. You know, it's something they.
She's always
take pride,
mentioned
yeah,
in
they take
the
pride of being
ziyaras.
the sons of Sayyidah Khadija.
Yeah.
However, we don't give that much attention
Yeah.
to her. Unfortunately, you know, just one night per year, I don't think is enough, to be honest.
And I think Mullah touched on something very important. He said there's a lot that we can actually learn from Sayyidah Khadija's life.
Indeed, definitely.
Which is we'll come on to it later, because I think there's a bit of a tribute that myself and Sayyid Yunus want to give to Sayyidah Khadija, because there was a time when Khadija was called the princess of the merchants and the princess of Mecca. Then a time came when her great fortune changed hands. From her hands it passed into the hands of Islam. She was rich and she became poor in the material sense. She exchanged a lifestyle of luxury for a lifestyle of austerity.
But nothing changed her in her temperament. She remained cheerful, magnanimous, and idealistic as before. She spent more time than ever in devotions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in service to His Messenger Rasulullah salamullahi alayhi. And of course, she was never forgetful of the well-being and the welfare of the community of believers.
Now, faith in Allah's mercy was the spring from which Khadija took her life's responses. She was endowed with what Quran has called qalbun salim, the sound heart. In verse 89 of its 26th chapter, qalbun salim, or the sound heart, and this sound heart is actually defined as the following: a heart that is pure and unaffected by the diseases that afflict others, as the heart in Arabic is taken to be not only the seat of the feelings and affections, but also of intelligence and resulting action. It implies the whole character.
Khadija was the ideal woman, the ideal wife for Muhammad al-Mustafa salamullahi alayh, the ideal mother of her children, and the ideal mother of the believers, Ummul Mu'mineen. The ideal